Let me ask you something. When a 60-year-old man flies 8,000 miles to find love in a country where the average income is $3,500 a year, is that romance? Or is that a transaction? Hold that thought because the answer might not be what you think. Many Western men don't come to the Philippines seeking culture. They don't come for the beaches. They don't come for the food. They come looking for something they lost back home: respect, affection, femininity, and purpose. And if we're being completely honest, control. The Philippines has quietly become one of the world's most popular destinations for older Western men searching for younger women who still believe in marriage, or at least believe in the idea of marriage. But what happens when love meets desperation, when romance collides with survival, when fantasy meets reality, and when two people enter the same marriage for completely different reasons? This is the story of Shawn, a 60-year-old retired American who swore he'd never trust a woman again, and Evaa, a 35-year-old Filipina tour guide who saw marriage as her family's salvation. One of them claims they were used, the other claims they were trapped, and depending on who you ask, one of them is a victim, the other is a villain. But here's the twist nobody wants to admit. They might both be right, and they might both be wrong. Because this story isn't just about Shawn and Evaa. It's about thousands of couples just like them, making the same mistakes, hiding the same truths, and pretending that love conquers all, when love isn't even in the room. Shawn didn't begin life cynical. In his 20s, he married Jennifer, an American woman he met in college. They built what looked like an ideal life: careers, a suburban home, weekend barbecues, and shared dreams of growing old together. For years, they were among the few couple others admired. But the marriage didn't collapse because of betrayal or scandal. It eroded slowly. Jennifer wanted emotional intimacy and deep conversations. Shawn, practical and guarded, believed problems should be fixed and left behind. She felt lonely even when he was present. He felt perpetually inadequate. Therapy failed because Shawn had long learned to equate vulnerability with weakness. After 15 years, they divorced. The fallout was brutal. Shawn lost his house, half his retirement savings, and, most damaging, his faith in marriage. Being told, "I don't love you anymore," shattered his sense of worth. He rebuilt by withdrawing, focusing on work, saving aggressively, and retiring early at 58, determined never to risk himself like that again. Retirement, however, brought crushing loneliness. With too much time and no one to share it with, Shawn tried dating in his late 50s. Apps delivered matches, but every date felt like a job interview filled with emotional probing and unresolved trauma. Shawn didn't want to dissect his past. He wanted peace and appreciation. Younger women back home barely noticed him at all. One sleepless night, Shawn stumbled into an online rabbit hole: YouTube, forums, expat blogs, promising a different reality. Southeast Asia, they claimed, still valued traditional roles. Men were appreciated. Life was simpler. Retired Western men appeared content, partnered with younger, smiling women, free from constant conflict and emotional demands. For Shawn, it sounded less like fantasy and more like escape. Not a search for love, but for calm. Wondering if the stories might be true, he bought a return ticket to Manila, hoping this might be his second chance. When Shawn arrived in Manila, he felt a renewed sense of hope he hadn't experienced in years. The city was loud and chaotic, but it also felt warm and welcoming in a way his life in America no longer did. People smiled at him, treated him with respect, and made him feel seen rather than invisible. That feeling of being noticed deeply affected him. Seeking to explore the city, Shawn booked a private tour advertised as an authentic Manila experience. That decision introduced him to Evaa, a professional, well-spoken tour guide who immediately made him feel important and cared for. Her warmth, attentiveness, and interest seemed personal, but in reality, it was part of her job. In the Philippines, many tour guides, especially women, are trained to be friendly, engaging, and emotionally attentive because their income depends on tips and client satisfaction. The story highlights a common misunderstanding. Lonely foreign men often mistake professional hospitality for romantic interest. The more emotionally vulnerable the man, the easier it is to confuse kindness with connection. Evaa, however, had her own struggles. At 35 and unmarried, she faced cultural pressure and family expectations. She had given up her education years earlier to support her family after her father suffered a stroke. As the primary breadwinner, she sent most of her income home to cover medical bills, education costs, household repairs, and daily expenses. Despite working tirelessly, financial stability remained out of reach. When Shawn showed genuine interest, Evaa saw not romance at first, but opportunity. Shawn was older, stable, respectful, and financially secure, qualities that represented safety and a chance to better support her family. Love wasn't immediate, but possibility was. After their professional relationship ended, Shawn asked Evaa to dinner. She agreed, torn between company rules and personal necessity. As they spent more time together, they connected over shared loneliness and unmet needs. Shawn sought peace and appreciation. Evaa sought security. By the time Shawn left Manila, both believed they had found something meaningful. His promise to return gave Evaa hope, because she needed to believe in it. After Shawn returned to the United States, he and Evaa stayed in constant contact. Every morning began with affectionate messages, photos of her daily life, and family updates. Every night ended with long video calls where Evaa gave him virtual tours of her home, introduced him to her parents, and made him feel included. For the first time in decades, Shawn felt needed. 3 months into the long-distance relationship, Evaa mentioned, carefully, that her father needed surgery. She didn't ask for help, only explained the situation. Shawn immediately offered to pay. The amount, $2,000, was significant for both of them. A month of Shawn's pension and 6 months of Evaa's savings. He sent it without hesitation, and Evaa's emotional reaction felt genuine. The money saved her father's life, but it also created an unspoken obligation. After that, Shawn began sending money regularly. Sometimes it was for emergencies, sometimes for bills or tuition. He told himself it was generosity, but he also knew it created dependence. Dependence felt like security, proof she wouldn't leave. Evaa expressed deep gratitude every time. She called Shawn a blessing and a guardian angel, but along with gratitude came guilt. The debt felt impossible to repay, except through marriage. 6 months after they met, Shawn returned to the Philippines with a ring and a carefully planned proposal. Evaa said yes, both feeling something real. Shawn felt redeemed, and Evaa felt relieved. Neither questioned their motivations. That night, her family celebrated enthusiastically, welcoming Shawn as a hero. What he didn't fully grasp was that in Filipino culture, marriage means marrying the entire family, their needs, expectations, and burdens. And Shawn had unknowingly agreed to all of it. The wedding ceremony was simple and intimate, and Shawn feels renewed hope, believing he has finally found peace and companionship. They settle into a quiet provincial life outside Manila, enjoying calm routines, home-cooked meals, evening movies, and morning walks through the streets. At first, the marriage feels effortless and drama-free, reinforcing Shawn's belief that this is how marriage should be. However, beneath the surface, Evaa is quietly waiting. She assumes marriage includes an eventual move to America, where she can work, support her family, and secure her future. To her, this was an unspoken agreement. Shawn, on the other hand, never viewed relocation as a given. He is content with their life in the Philippines and believes he has already given Evaa stability and comfort. Cultural differences soon strain the relationship. Evaa's family frequently asks Shawn for financial help, which she sees as a normal family responsibility. Shawn interprets these requests as exploitation, creating resentment on both sides. Neither fully understands the other's values or expectations. The conflict comes to a head when Evaa directly asks about starting her U.S. visa application. Shawn is shocked, insisting he thought she was happy where they were. Evaa's blunt response, questioning why she would marry him otherwise, shatters his trust. A heated argument reveals a painful truth. The marriage is driven less by love than by fear, security, and survival. Shawn becomes paranoid after reading online stories of foreign men being used for visas and money, while Evaa feels trapped, having sacrificed her independence and future. Both feel deceived, realizing their marriage is a comfortable but confining cage, one built on mismatched expectations rather than genuine understanding. After their fight, the house went silent in ways that hurt more than shouting ever could. Shawn and Evaa stopped sharing meals, stopped watching movies together, and stopped touching. Evaa moved into the guest bedroom. Shawn stayed up late, alone in front of the TV. Both quietly asked the same question: how did their marriage end up here? Eventually, Evaa broke the silence. Sitting across from Shawn at the kitchen table, she admitted she couldn't keep living like this. Shawn agreed, but when she gave him an ultimatum, take her to America or let her go, the tension finally exploded. To Shawn, it sounded like a demand. To Evaa, it was a plea for a future she believed they had promised each other. Shawn argued that their life in the Philippines was real. Evaa countered that it was only real for him. She wasn't building anything of her own. She was simply living inside his world. Shawn had no answer because deep down he knew she was right. A week later, Evaa moved back in with her family. She didn't ask for a divorce, only space. Shawn remained alone in the same house where everything had begun, now emptier than ever. Late one night, searching for validation, Shawn shared his story on an online forum. The responses were brutal. Some mocked him, saying he should have known a younger woman wanted a visa. Others accused him of control, arguing he never treated her like an equal partner. Reading through the comments, Shawn realized the most painful truth of all: both sides were right. Let's stop pretending this is a simple love story. Because it isn't. It never was. People want clean narratives, villains and victims, gold digger versus lonely old man, true love versus visa scam. But the truth, like most uncomfortable truths, lives in the gray. Did Evaa marry Shawn for love? No. Did she marry him only for a visa? Also no. She married him for security, for stability, for a way out of a life where every emergency could destroy her entire family. She married him for opportunity, something she'd been taught, directly and indirectly, was scarce and fragile. And maybe, just maybe, she believed love could grow later. That affection could be learned. That gratitude could turn into something real. That's not uncommon. It's human. But then we have to ask the harder question. What about Shawn? Did he marry Evaa because he loved her? Or because she was young, agreeable, and made him feel significant again? Did he want a partner? Or did he want someone who wouldn't challenge him, contradict him, or threaten his sense of control? Here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. This relationship was never equal. Not emotionally, not economically, not structurally. From the very start, the power dynamic leaned heavily in one direction. Shawn had a powerful passport, financial safety, the freedom to leave whenever he wanted, and the ability to say no without consequences. Evaa had family obligations that didn't disappear, economic pressure that never slept, limited choices, and the constant fear of losing everything. When one person can walk away untouched and the other can't, that's not romance, that's leverage. And when leverage enters a relationship, love becomes conditional. But blaming only Shawn or Evaa misses the bigger picture, because this story didn't start with them. It started with a global system that quietly turns relationships into transactions. A system where Western men are taught they deserve youth and obedience as rewards for survival. Filipinas are taught that marrying a foreigner is the smartest escape route. Poverty blurs the line between affection and necessity. Large age gaps are celebrated instead of questioned, and everyone pretends love exists in a vacuum. Shawn wanted desire without emotional accountability. Evaa wanted safety without admitting the cost. Neither wanted to say the quiet part out loud. So they lied, to each other and to themselves. The visa became the symbol of everything broken in the marriage. To Evaa, it meant freedom, possibility, a future that didn't feel like a dead end. To Shawn, it meant danger, loss of control, the moment she no longer needed him. But in reality, the visa represented the truth they both avoided. This marriage was a transaction. She offered youth, beauty, companionship, and emotional labor. He offered money, security, status, and access. Both expected returns. Neither clearly defined the terms. And when expectations go unspoken, resentment fills the silence. Shawn was wrong to believe he could keep Evaa dependent forever. You can't promise someone a future and then punish them for trying to reach it. That's not love. That's control dressed up as concern. But Evaa wasn't innocent either. She entered the marriage knowing Shawn was emotionally vulnerable. She accepted financial support. She allowed dependence to grow, and then acted shocked when he expected permanence in return. Neither of them communicated honestly. Neither of them set boundaries early. Neither of them confronted the reality of what they were building. And now, they're both paying the price, not because one is evil and the other is pure, but because both chose comfort over honesty. And comfort, in unequal relationships, is always temporary. Shawn is watching this video, scanning the comments, hoping for guidance on a marriage that has reached a breaking point. He faces 3 impossible choices. He could take his wife Evaa to America, granting her a visa and risking his pension, stability, and peace of mind, while fearing she might leave once she gains independence. He could refuse, keeping her in the Philippines and maintaining control, but effectively ending the marriage. Or he could end it honestly, admit the relationship was built on incompatible expectations, offer a financial settlement, and walk away. But the harder question is directed at Evaa. If Shawn brought her to America tomorrow, would she stay? Or would she confirm his worst fears, secure a green card, divorce him, and take half his pension? The story challenges viewers to put themselves in her position. After a year in a marriage marked by mistrust, control, and broken promises, would staying be an act of love or a survival demand to leave? At its core, the story asks who was really using whom. Was Evaa a calculated gold digger playing the long game, or a desperate woman trying to secure a future for herself and her family? Was Shawn a controlling man seeking a powerless partner, or a wounded retiree trying to protect himself from being hurt again? The uncomfortable truth may be that both were victims and villains at the same time. There is no happy ending. Shawn and Evaa remain separated, blaming each other and questioning what went wrong. The real tragedy may be that the marriage was doomed from the start, built on fear, unequal power, and unspoken motives rather than trust and honesty. These stories are not rare. They happen wherever poverty meets privilege and loneliness meets desperation. And before judging either person, the story asks viewers to reflect on their own lives, on the times they confused security with love, or stayed in something broken because leaving felt harder than staying. Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this story resonates with you, then you should watch the next video on Tourism's Dirty Secret: What Happens After the Tour Ends.